Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll be continuing to look at more operator types in PowerShell. We'll start with type operators. I've already got something on the screen here. There's three type operators: is, not, and as, which compare the input with the type of the object. So types are basically your .NET types. Like I've got date time here, but we'll also look at a few others. So what this is doing is it's doing a get date, and then whatever's returned by the get date function, it uses the is operator to compare whether the type is date time. So let me just do that. So if I do get date, right, and then get date dot get type, it tells you what type it is. It's type date time, which is the base type from system value type. So if you're wondering what a base type is, it's basically the datetime objects is a direct inheritance of system.valueType object. So when you look at base type, that means as a parent in the hierarchy of the .NET objects within PowerShell. Not very important, but I thought that's a good thing to know. Now if I run this command, test. So if I run this function now, it's going to evaluate this and compare the return type with datetime. So this is going to be true, and this is going to be false because the return is a datetime object. And this one, the as function, is a bit interesting. It converts one type of object into another, right? We're taking a string here, and the string's getting converted to a datetime object. So let's quickly run this and see what happens. So this is where I ran. So there's a true for that line. There's a false for that line, and this is just printed as datetime. Well, it just prints that value. So if I change this to 20 and then run that same function again, it'll return 20. So it successfully converted a string object to, so I could just do is and compare that to string, right? Save that and run, and that should return true. Right? So we'll also look at a couple of other things. So that's in a nutshell how, like the type operators in PowerShell work. You could compare a whole lot of things. Like I can say 33, I want to say is float. Obviously it's not, so it's going to return false. But if I do int, it's going to be true. You can also compare actual objects. So if I do get process, oops, I got something. Right, so it returns, if I do get process notepad, it did return the process ID for notepad. So what I want to do is I want to compare that with what sort of application, what sort of object that is. So if I do, to the brackets, system dot diagnostic dot process, so that's a process, so that's true. You need to know like what type of object it is to be able to exactly, you could do a get type. I could also do just get rid of all this stuff, dot get type, and this will tell you that it's a process, but process sits within diagnostics within system. So you got to know the hierarchy of the actual .NET objects within PowerShell to be able to successfully do this. But with a little bit of practice and exploring, you can easily find out how to get that hierarchy. It's in Microsoft documentation. I'll try and include the link in the description of the video. Now the base type again gives you tells you a bit about the hierarchy anyways. So system.diagnostics.process is inherited from system.componentModel.component. So it tells you a little bit about, what sort of object it's inheriting its value from. It doesn't tell you the exact hierarchy, but when you look at the process that you're looking for, you can validate that by seeing if the inheritance from this object is coming through to the object you're looking at. Hopefully that all makes sense. If it doesn't, pop me a question in the comments and I'm happy to respond. I could go on and do a few other queries just to make this clear, I think, but we've spent good time. But like I said, pop me a question and I'll respond. Alright, so the next operator type I want to talk about is unary operators, which are used in incrementing. So that's what we're doing here. That's a unary operator. They can be used for decrementing as well. We'll look at an example. So I'm just going to quickly run this because I've already talked about this a fair bit. So we're declaring a variable a, which is going to go through a loop for as long as it's under 4. And we're incrementing it every time the loop runs, and we're just printing $a. So I could also use minus minus so long as I say this is less than 1, and this I'm gonna make it 8, right? I should do GT. Right, if I run this now, so this will be fine. So when you're using the increment operator, you use the less than, so when the number crosses the threshold that you mentioned here, it triggers the statements within the for loop. So that's unary operators. Now the next function I want to talk about is the array subexpression, which basically evaluates an expression and returns the result as an array. So you can also use it to declare an array. I did this before. So if I run this, it just returns each of these values as an array. Now I could do this. Now let's see. What I've done here is I've just removed all the commas and the values, and I just put in get service, which is a command. So it evaluates this command and gets the return as an array. So if I do this, and there you go. So these are all the processes that are being returned, services that are being returned as an array, right? If I do get service, this is what will come up. I'll show you another example. So here's another example. Here I'm just running the get WMI object to get the Windows the device information. I'm just grabbing BIOS, and what it does is when I run this, it prints the BIOS information, the version of the BIOS, and then the software element ID, software element state, and it returns it with commas, which is an array because it's got a bunch of strings. So that's why I could, instead of BIOS, say logical disk. Now you need to know what options exist here. So that's the logical disk, that's the device ID, and that's a D drive, right? That's what it's returning. So very interesting, very useful. So if you got any questions, you can pop your question in the comment section. Let's move on. I will continue the rest of the operators in the next video. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
You are awesome. Now, to get your daily dosage of IT programming and automation, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Spread the word using the share button. Thank you.